Part 9. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 82. Chapter 82, A lot of fish, please vote for recommendation. But it doesn't matter if they go into the water, it's just a good time for her to look for the big guys here. If she can catch a few, she can increase her income tomorrow. The wild boar's footprints obviously went into the mountains, and I think they were just passing by. But there are a lot of other animal footprints. I guess this is the only source of water on the top of the mountain. With Mei Shui's medicine, fish soon floated in the pool, making the four of them very excited. Brother Ans, be careful, there are a lot of fish passing by over there. The water is not shallow, but it is very clear. You can see at least 1 meter of visibility without looking at it. Yeah, I know, of course. Hans also saw the arrival of the fish. He threw the fish food, so it's normal for them to follow him. Use your strength, be careful not to be dragged away. Good. The four of them took a good stance and waited for the fish to turn over, and then they could catch them all in one catch. These medicines can only make the fish faint, but will not damage their roots. After all, they are for human consumption, so poison cannot be used. The fainted fish will come back to life if you take it home and raise it, without harming the fish or people. When the first net came out, the four people almost failed to pull. It's so heavy. Hurry, pull it up quickly. And Wen tried to lift it, but it didn't come up. He was anxious. Okay, it's the same here, it's so heavy. I am here too. You three, be careful. I'll go up first and pull you later. Hans was stronger than them and could pull him. After a while, Hans swam to the shore. At this time, he found Mei Shui looking for something in the grass, and immediately shouted, "Xiaoxiu, come here and help." When Mei Shui heard this, she immediately turned around and ran over, regardless of what was going on over there. Are there a lot of them? When she looked at them, she found that the net was straightened, and she thought there were quite a few fish in it. Many. The two of them worked together to pull up. Together with An Liang and Wen and Anshan in the water, they quickly pulled the fish up. At first glance, they are not small. Yes, it seems we can get a good price tomorrow. Mei Shui looked at some fish jumping there and immediately became happy. After An Liang and the others came up, the five of them began to clean the fish in the net. Every one of them is not small in size. Sister-in-law, the medicine you gave is so useful, haha, there are so many fish. In Liang was very excited. And Wen was the same. He knew that following his sister-in-law would bring many benefits, but he didn't expect that his sister-in-law would be a lucky star. Anshan was frightened. Work quickly, otherwise these fish will die. Fortunately, they brought buckets, but with so many fish, the buckets were not enough. Hans looked at it and knew that they wanted to sell it in the town tomorrow. The price of living things and the price of dead things would be as high as heaven and earth. This won't work. An Liang, Anshan, you guys are quick on your feet. Now go back and get 4 baskets and some fertilizer bags, the kind that don't leak. Just these few buckets, I'm afraid they won't be enough. No one expected there would be so many. When An Liang and An Shan heard this, they immediately put on their clothes and said, "Okay, we'll go right away." The two of them didn't hesitate and ran down the mountain. This time, I'm afraid it will take some time. Put the fish in the bucket first and keep them there. If there are still some fish, throw them into the net, tie the bottom and put them in the water. The price of living is high. And Wen and Mei Shui also knew the situation. There were so many fish, even if they used space water, there was no room to pack them, so they had to do this for now. The three of them quickly took out the big fish and kept the smaller fish. It would be fine if they ran away. It was okay not to leave the fish that were too small. The sun was high in the sky, and Han's and An Wen's clothes were quickly dried in the sun. Mei Shui was bored and looked for the animal footprints again. Seeing that she didn't run far, Hans followed her, as long as she was within his sight. Looking at him from the sidelines, he was very happy. "Brother Ans, are you going to the city this time when you come back?" Anwen put on his clothes after they were dry. Hearing Anwen call him, Hans withdrew his gaze and said, "Go back, you'll have to go back to work in a few days." In fact, he didn't want to leave either. "But you and your sister-in-law just got married. If you leave now, will your sister-in-law be unhappy?" Anwen was a little worried. Hans wanted to say that she wouldn't, but as he spoke, he began to look forward to it. "She should, but I will come back when I have a vacation in the future." "Oh, then why don't you take your sister-in-law and third grandma to the city?" For Anwen, the city is no better than his own village, but who doesn't want to live in the city? "Your sister-in-law is like this, do you think she will come with me? Not to mention Mei Shui, even his grandma would not live in the city. It's okay to stay here for a day or two, but if he stays there for a long time, his grandma will definitely not do it." "That's right, my sister-in-law is not like those women outside. He is also older, has been on blind dates for so long, has met a lot of people, and his mind is very clear." "Well, she is different." Hans felt proud when he said this. "By the way, is your Uncle Eleven's condition getting better?" He didn't want to talk about his wife to outsiders, so he changed the subject. "It's still the same, but the medicine I bought last time is better, and my dad doesn't have any pain recently." Speaking of which, he really wanted to thank his sister-in-law. "The last time I went to get medicine, the doctor said that there was now a better medicine that could relieve pain, and asked him if he wanted it. Of course Anwen wanted it. His father was in pain and it cost him half his life. He would also feel a dull pain on weekdays, but he just endured it himself. After asking how much it cost, Anwen found that it was only 5 yuan more expensive than before, so he immediately changed his father's medicine. Now that he has been eating, his father no longer has any pain at night, and he can walk a few more miles during the day. This is all the result of the money his sister-in-law made with him. If he hadn't earned these two amounts of money, their family would really not be able to afford such expensive medicine. That's good. Don't always go to your sister if you have difficulties. Your sister's life at her husband's house is not easy, and I can't help you much. Here are $10, take it." Hans took it out of his arms. A large piece of paper came out and was handed to Anwen. "Don't be too little. My family's expenses have been a bit high recently, otherwise I can lend you more." Hans used the word borrow, which made Anwen more accepting. "Unfortunately, Hans will be disappointed. This is really not necessary. Thank you, brother Ans. My family is not short of money now. Last time, my sister-in-law taught me and An Liang how to make wine. I made a lot of wine and sold it for a lot of money, which allowed my dad to take medicine for several months. Well, don't worry. With money, the young man also gains confidence. I have to thank my sister-in-law for all this. We are still brewing wine at home. Once we sell it, another sum of money will come in. My dad will have enough money for medicine." Hans was shocked upon hearing this. He knew about the last time he sold wine, but he didn't ask how much it cost. Looking at Anwen's expression, he was afraid. Xiaoxiu is really a surprise. Hans sighed inwardly. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 83. Chapter 83, Surprised Wild Boar. "That's good, but the plums are gone, and I won't be able to make wine anymore, so what should you do? After all, he is his cousin, and Hans really cares about him." "It's okay, my family has cut a lot of wood recently, and I also sell goods with my sister-in-law. My family has enough for a year." Anwen is a person who is easily satisfied. However, Anwen was right. With the speed of Mei Shui, a lucky star, it took only a minute to save money, just because he was afraid that Hans would be hit. "What about you getting married? You're not young anymore. I've already married you at home. It will be difficult if you don't have money by then." "It's okay. I can wait a few more years. There's no rush when it came to marriage, and Wen was a little embarrassed. Just as the two were chatting happily, there was a shout from Mei Shui. Xiaoxiu. As soon as he heard the sound, Hians ran over, but unfortunately he didn't see Mei Shui. I heard another sound, but this time it wasn't Xiaoxiu's voice, but... No, it's a wild boar. And Wen, hide quickly and I'll go check on your sister-in-law. Hians ran towards Mei Shui after hearing the sound. And Wen knew how much he weighed, so he didn't dare to take the lead for fear of hindering them. Had no choice but to climb up the tree, stand on the tree and look over there. Meixiu originally discovered traces of hares and was looking for their route. Unexpectedly, she slowly left the edge of the waterhole and came to a low-lying area. Here she saw two wild boars, one big and one small. The big one weighs no less than 300 catties, and the small one may weigh as much as 100 catties. Mei Shui's eyes lit up when she saw the big goods. She didn't have any tools in her hands because she was too excited and directly came forward to force her. Unexpectedly, she actually suffered some losses from the wild boar before she recovered her strength. Fortunately, she used a wooden stick to poke out the eyes of the big wild boar. This was a habit she had developed by killing monsters. First, it would change its direction, and then lose its life. The wild boar's cry called Mei Shui's cry alarmed Hians. When Hians ran over, Mei Shui was covered in blood. Hians' feet went weak and he said, "Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxiu, are you okay?" Just when Hians came over, Mei Shui found an opportunity to directly poke the wooden stick into the throat of the big wild boar. After the stick went in, she pulled it out directly, which is why there was so much blood on her body. "I'm fine, hurry up, stop it, it's going to run away." Wild boar is a social animal, and Mei Shui was afraid that it would report the news. At that time, I'm afraid they will have no choice but to run away. It seems that she has to prepare something for herself. Hians looked along Mei Shui's hand and saw a little wild boar climbing up the mountain. Seeing this scene, Hians rushed over without thinking. He held the knife in his hand and slashed it down, directly injuring the little wild boar, but because Hians was too anxious, he didn't hurt it too seriously. It was still running, and Mei Shui also ran over, snatched the knife from Hians' hand, raised the knife with his hand, and cut half of the wild boar's neck directly. The little wild boar just fell into a pool of blood. "Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxiu." Hians' eyes were full of fear and fright. "Are you okay? Are you injured?" Mei Shui was held by him. After fighting for a while, she really had no strength anymore, so she leaned against him. "I'm fine. Get Anwen down quickly. We need to pull them to the pool." Mei Shui was thinking about the wild boars. "Okay, I'll help you up first, and Anwen and I will come down together later." Hians was worried about Mei Shui. Mei Shui was speechless, but after seeing his anxious expression, her heart warmed and she said, yes. She went up with him. Seeing the people coming up, Anwen immediately climbed down from the tree. "Sister-in-law, brother Ans, how are you?" "Sister-in-law, why are you covered with so much blood?" As soon as he saw the person, Anwen saw the blood on Mei Shui's body and asked with fear on his face. "I'm fine. You and Hians go downstairs to lift the wild boar up." Mei Shui pointed to the low-lying area and said, "Sister-in-law, are you not injured? The wild boar is not important." "I'm fine, I'm just a little exhausted." "You go quickly." Mei Shui rolled her eyes. It would be bad if other animals smell it later. Seeing that she was worried, Hians patted her hand lightly and said, "Don't worry, there are no large animals here. The wild boar is the largest animal. It won't be a problem if it's a little late." Hians finally watched Mei Shui clean up before following and went down to carry the wild boar up. When the wild boar was brought up and he looked at the big and small animals on the ground, Hians felt that he had to get to know his wife again. Looking at the wound on the little wild boar's neck, his neck was a little cold. If the knife was aimed at him, his neck would probably be broken. Meixiu didn't know what Hians was thinking. When she looked at the wild boar, her eyes were filled with money and meat. I will definitely have a lot of money if I sell it, and Grandma will have money to count again. Mei Shui turned around and said happily. When the two of them heard this, they were happy. Sister-in-law, aren't you afraid? Mei Shui looked at An Wen. What's there to be afraid of? It's just meat. You're not afraid of the pigs at home either. I feed the pigs a lot on weekdays, Mei Shui said with a look of disgust. An's open mouth also closed after hearing Mei Shui's words. What should he do if his wife has experienced such harm? Xiaoxiu, it seems we can't catch any more fish today, An said with a bitter smile. Then we won't catch it, we'll catch it again in 2 days with pork. Who cares about this little fish meat? Let's do this. An Wen and I will carry a pig down the mountain, and you can carry the bucket down the mountain. Ans didn't want to wait here any longer. Mei Shui looked at the fish in the bucket. There were 4 buckets, and it was really difficult for her to take them. Take 2 buckets, and let An Liang and the others take the rest. Don't waste it, this is all money. The last few words Mei Shui didn't say anything. Let An Liang and An Shan come up again. Both Ans and An Wen were a little worried. But they had only gone down not long ago, and it would be a while before they came up. Staying here was unsettling. Forget it, sister-in-law, let's pour the fish into the fishing net. Let's go down the mountain first if it's not dark. How about brother Ans and Liang and I go up the mountain to pick the fish back? An Wen felt a little cold after seeing so much blood. Mai Xiu said she could not win against these 2 men and had to listen to them, but she still carried 2 buckets of fish down the mountain. Seeing her like this, An Wen and Ans had nothing to do with her. Xiaoxiu, walk slowly, don't hurt yourself all the way down the mountain. Ans was worried about Mei Shui. Mind yourself, I'm fine. As they were about to go down the mountain, they finally met An Liang and An Shan. The two were startled when they saw 2 big wild boars. Oh my god, what's going on? They came back to get something, but there were 2 more wild boars. You're here just in time. Help your sister-in-law carry the fish bucket quickly. She's dead. As soon as An saw the person, he immediately asked the 2 of them to help Mei Shui carry the fish. Come and vote for me. It's so cool to add more updates. You have to vote hard. Come on and vote, otherwise there will be no more updates. Thank you to all the relatives who voted. I love you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 84. Chapter 84, Big Harvest. Please vote for recommendation. Mei Shui was not polite after hearing this. When the 2 came forward, she handed the fish bucket to them and picked up the empty basket herself. Sister-in-law, what's going on? After seeing that no one paid attention to him, An Liang approached Mei Shui and asked. Mei Shui didn't hide anything and told them directly that she encountered a wild boar and then killed it. He only heard a few words, but An Liang still knew the hardships involved. He didn't see that the clothes on his sister-in-law's body were all covered in blood. It's over now, the 3rd grandma will definitely scold us when we go back. An Liang, a fool, was worried that he would be scolded. Anshan was different. He looked at Mei Shui with admiration. Sister-in-law, do you know Kung Fu? Mei Shui glanced at him and finally shook her head. No, I am strong. This was what she emphasized from the beginning, but no one believed it. Even Grandma thinks she has about the same strength as a man. I never expected that she would be stronger than a man. How do you practice that? Anshan wanted to learn. Born Mei Shui is not afraid of annoying others to death. Soon, the 5 of them returned to the He family courtyard. They didn't meet anyone in the village along the way. This will save a lot of trouble. Grandma, Grandma, we are back. As soon as she entered the yard, Mei Shui shouted into the house as if she was asking for credit. Grandma he was still thinking about when they would come back, but before she thought about it, she heard Zioxiu's voice. Zioxiu is back. Are you tired? Are you hungry? He replied while walking out of the kitchen. But when Grandma he saw the two wild boars on the ground, her eyes turned red with anger. You unfilial thing, how dare you take Zioxiu to such a dangerous place? Grandma he immediately rushed forward and beat Hians. Every spatula in his hand fell on Hians. The pain was really. Grandma, I didn't. Hians was wronged. Anwen and others immediately stayed away from Hians, fearing that they would be implicated by him. Mei Shui felt warm when she saw her grandma beating someone. However, Hians was really not to blame for this. Grandma, please stop hitting, we are fine. After saying that, Mei Shui rushed forward to pull her away, and finally pulled her grandma away. Grandma, don't be angry, we didn't go to a dangerous place. Mei Shui comforted her. Grandma he didn't believe it. The two wild boars on the ground were the best proof. We haven't said yet, how can we explain this wild boar? Grandma he glared at Hians. Grandma, we really didn't go there. We were just at the pool on Chaotian Mountain, and we didn't expect to encounter a wild boar. Hians looked at Grandma with an aggrieved look. What's going on with the blood on Zioxiu's body? Grandma he asked implacably. Grandma seeing that Grandma was scared, Mei Shui hugged her immediately. This is not my blood, it's from the wild boar. They can't hurt me. Grandma, you have to believe me. Really? Grandma he looked unconvinced. Are you really okay? She turned around and looked at Mei Shui from top to bottom. Of course, if I get injured, I can still hide it from Grandma, Mei Shui said with a smile. That's good, that's good. Grandma he breathed a sigh of relief, but still didn't give Hians a good look. Nothing will happen to you as soon as you come back, huh? Okay, Hians has taken the blame. After finally comforting his grandma, Hians said about the whereabouts of the wild boar, we definitely can't wait until tomorrow. It's getting late now. It's too far to go to the county seat. I'm afraid the meat will taste bad. 6 people stood around the wild boar. Then send it to Boss Me. If he doesn't want it, we'll find a way, Anwen said. Yes, doesn't Boss Me own a restaurant? It's just the right place to send him there, and Liang said excitedly. Anshan has no idea, just listen to them. Meixia shook her head, we can't sell them all, let's keep one, she thought, and gave some meat to Anwen and the others. Grandma he quit her job, what's the use of leaving one? I can't finish it at home. How much did the meat cost? Mei Shui saw her grandmother's reluctance, so she whispered a few words into her ear. After hearing this, Grandma he glared at Anwen and the others. It's an advantage for you, so just sell one. She said this, but she agreed. Well, I'll go to town with Anwen. He knows Boss Me. It's too late, so Zioxiu, you guys shouldn't go, Hians arranged. Of course An Liang and Anshan have no objection. But the little one left at home has to be dealt with. En Liang, go and ask your dad, Uncle Jensi and Uncle Jensu to come over and ask them to help clean up the pig. Hians understood what Zioxiu meant. You have to give them some anyway, so what does it matter if they come over to help? Grandma, just be a little tired and let them have dinner at home tonight. Grandma he said angrily to Ans, you are the only one who can arrange people. Go ahead and call An Cheng and ask him to take you to town. After things were arranged, Mei Shui asked them to bring vegetables and fish with them, so they wouldn't have to go to town tomorrow, which would save trouble. En Liang and An Shan first helped send the fish and vegetables down the mountain, and then went back to call their father. Hians shot a wild boar and soon word spread in the village. But they were walking in a hurry and couldn't ask anything. But after seeing the fish, the villagers also knew that they might have gone to Chaotian Mountain. This is something they cannot envy. After that, everyone went back to their respective homes to find their respective mothers. On the mountain, in the small courtyard of the He family. He Zhenkei, He Zhensi, and He Zhengting came to the small courtyard and saw the little wild boar inside. They were all very excited. In the village, except for a bite of meat at home during the New Year and festivals, meat is rarely available. Forgive them for swallowing their saliva. Third aunt, leave this wild boar to us. The three of them did not hesitate and immediately started to take action. Meixue boiled water and went into the house to take a bath. The smell of blood on her body was too strong, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. Okay, hurry up and pack it out. I'll cook it for you tonight, Grandma. He was also very happy. She just made wine at home, and now 2 wild boars are here. Haha, Xiaoxiu is really rich. Everyone was not slow in their actions. As soon as the water was boiled, they started working immediately. Before dark, the three of them sorted the wild boars and cut up the pieces of meat and hung them up. It's time to eat. We'll cook it after dinner. It won't take more than a minute. The house had already stewed good pork, and as soon as the meal was ready, Grandma He came out to ask her nephews to eat. There was also a big light bulb outside the house. Mei Shui let it hang on the sweet-scented osmanthus tree with a string. It was a bit boring to sit in the house, so Mei Shui said to eat outside. Aunt Mei Lian and the others also ran over after finishing their meal at home. While the men were cleaning the meat from the pigs, they would help clean the internal organs. Mei Shui didn't like the offal, so she divided it up and took it back after a while after cleaning it. Grandma He was really not interested. After spending so much time together, she knew Xiaoxiu didn't like to eat those things. She doesn't feel bad at all, but she will have to give them less meat for a while. Okay, we'll be fine soon, the three of them responded. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 85. Chapter 85, Your Wife is a Pervert, Please vote for recommendation. En Liang and An Shan went in to help bring the dishes out. They felt that today was just like the Chinese New Year and they were very happy. After walking up the mountain and back, I acted like a normal person, not complaining about suffering or tiredness. In the kitchen, Mei Shui left some dishes for He Ans and An Wen. If the rice is not enough, they will be cooked later, so there is no need to save them. The bowls and chopsticks were placed, and several people smelled the fragrance. They were already hungry. When they saw Grandma He moving the chopsticks, they immediately started to move. It's so beautiful that even my aunt and the others are greedy for it. Meixue also packed food for them. Aunts, let's eat something first and we'll cook it later. Aunt Zillian and Aunt Ting were a little embarrassed when they saw the rice brought by Xiaoxiu. We have all eaten this. Yes, we have, but the meat is really delicious. Aunt Mei Lian didn't think so much, she was just greedy. Forget it, if you don't want to eat, I'll go eat the meat. Maybe I have been with Xiaoxiu for a long time, and her politeness has long been discarded by her. Seeing Mei Lian making a move, they couldn't be polite, so they immediately took it over. Thank you, Xiaoxiu. The He family courtyard was brightly lit, and a group of people were very lively, chatting and laughing there. Hearing that there were still fish on the mountain, he said they would go and see them tomorrow. Xiaoxiu has no opinion on this matter at all. When Aunt Ting arrived, she was really happy for her son after seeing Anshan, Xiaoxiu, and the others getting close. The younger son is a filial son and usually obeys his family. But because of this, he suffers more than Enlin. It's usually fine, but when it comes to individuals, Aunt Ting still doesn't want to let her little son suffer. On the other side, He Ans and An Wen, who rushed to the town, immediately walked around the town and finally found Boss Mi. Only then did I find out that Boss Mi was the owner of Chensing restaurant in their town. I really didn't see this. He received the goods by himself and looked after the store by himself. He didn't look like a big boss. Seeing a carriage parked in front of his hotel, Boss Mi hurriedly walked out. When he saw An Wen, he was happy. Why are you here? You're here to deliver something to me. As he said this, he looked into the carriage. When he saw what was inside, Boss Me was excited. Haha, good boy. He patted An Wen on the shoulder with excitement. Boss Me, do you want this wild boar? If you don't want it, I have to find another home. An Wen was also very happy to see Boss Me. But he remembered what Brother An said on the way. If my sister-in-law hadn't asked me to come to you first, I would have bought it for someone else on the way here. This is what we got in the fight this afternoon. An Wen jumped down from the carriage. There are also fish and vegetables prepared by my sister-in-law for you. They are all very fresh. Boss Me looked at An Wen's hand and said, yes, of course. How could he not want such a good thing? How much do you want to sell it for? Mr. Me's personal question is. Wild boar meat is a bit dense and not fat, so the usual selling price is not higher than the price of fat meat. Hyans took this into consideration, but An Wen was familiar with Boss Me, so he handed over the responsibility to An Wen. But they had discussed it on the way here. 1 piece per pound, this is wild boar meat. I believe Boss Me also has a steel yard in his mind. An Wen was talking about the price of the whole pig, which was really a bit high. But if it is sent to the county town, it can be sold for about 1 yuan and 2, but there is no hurry. There is no car to enter the county town now. If we wait until tomorrow, the meat will taste bad. When Boss Me heard this, he thought the price was really not cheap. Can it be less? I bought a raw pig, and now the meat only costs $1 a pound. An Wen didn't have much knowledge after all. Hyans was afraid that he would be influenced by Boss Me, so he relaxed his mouth and immediately took over the conversation. Boss Me is right, but now it is popular to eat wild game in the county. It is impossible for Boss Me not to know this. If it weren't for my wife asking us to ask you first, we would have sent it to the cold storage tomorrow. If you bring them to the county town, it won't be a problem to sell them for $1 or 3 or 4. Hyans got off the carriage and said, Boss Me gives you a guarantee. If you don't want it, we'll leave. But these fish and vegetables are here to sell you. Hyans's momentum is different. He often travels around. His external knowledge is not comparable to that of An Wen. His speeches are well-founded and confident. When Boss Me heard this, he smiled. I wonder who you are, little brother. He had a guess. He is my brother and my sister-in-law's husband. An Wen explained with pride. Oh, we are really a family. Your daughter-in-law is a bad girl, and you are not bad at all. I'll take the pig, and you can come with me to weigh it later. Boss Me was also happy. Lately, some people like to eat wild game, and the price is not comparable to that of pork. $1 per catty, he earned a lot. After selling the wild boar, Hyans and Boss Me bought a few steamed buns and planned to eat them on the way back. After working for a long time, they were already hungry. It was impossible for Boss Me to take their money and just give them 10 big buns for them to eat on the way. On the way back, An Wen was excited. He didn't care how much the wild boar was sold for. His sister-in-law and brother Ans killed it, so he just helped carry it back. The price of fish is not cheap, it costs dozens of yuan. The fish was sold for 80 cents per catty, almost catching up with wild boar meat, which An Wen didn't expect. There are 45 kilograms of fish in total, 8 cents per catty is 36 yuan, water spinach is 10 cents per catty, 4 yuan in total. Maybe because he was used to big money, An Wen felt that the dish shouldn't be sold even for the 4 yuan. The feeling of losing money. Brother Ans, let's go fish tomorrow. We will definitely be able to sell them for a lot of money by then. Few people catch fish in the pool because there are many fish there. Unlike in the reservoir, the fish there belong to the village. If they need to be treated with medicine, the village will definitely not be happy. Even if you sell it, you will definitely be quarreled at that time. But things on Chaotian Mountain are different. They belong to God. Anyone can catch them, no one cares. as long as you are not afraid of death. Hyans was also very excited. A wild boar was sold for about 300 yuan, which was his 2 or 3 month salary. He felt increasingly reluctant to go to work. Hearing Anwen's words, Hyans nodded, okay. After hearing this, An Cheng looked moved and weakly asked, Brother Anwen, can you take me with you? The water pool belongs to God. Of course An Cheng can go there if he wants to. Yes, you can go if you want. We talked and laughed along the way, and finally got home after dark. But by this time, the He family yard had already become quiet. Grandma He also distributed the meat to 3 families. Each family gave a different piece of meat. The Anwen family gave an extra piece of meat because he helped carry it down the mountain. The Anshan and Anliang families were given a piece less, but the 2 families had no objections. They also took back the offal and other organs, as well as the bones, which were divided among several families. Mei Shui kept some of the bones and used them to stew soup for her grandma. Let them take away the ribs and so on. Generally speaking, everyone is very satisfied. The votes are in motion. The author has been typing until midnight recently. Just for these 10,000 updates, please give me a reward and count the votes. Thank you. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 86. Chapter 86, Thinking. As soon as Hyans entered the house, he only saw the light in his grandma's room was on. He thought that Mei Shui was also in her room. He called out twice and walked in. The reason I spoke was because I was afraid of scaring Grandma and Mei Shui. Grandma, Xiaoxiu, I'm back. Grandma He and Mei Shui were talking about dividing meat in the house, and walked out of the house as soon as they heard the sound. The 3 of them bumped into each other. Why did you come back at this time? Have you sold everything? Grandma He asked worriedly. They're all sold, including the vegetables and fish. Hyun took the money out of his arms with a look on his face asking for credit. The fish money is also here with him. He gave the money to Mei Shui. Xiaoxiu, wild boars are sold for 1 yuan per catty, fish for 8 cents, and vegetables for 1 cent. Mei Shui made a mental assessment and found that the money was quite a lot. How much is the total amount of fish? Take it out and give it to Anwen and the others tomorrow. The rest of the money will be given to Grandma. Grandma loves to count money, Mei Shui said with a smile on her face. Hyans took out 36 yuan and said, the fish is only 30-odd yuan. That was a ridiculous statement. Without saying a word, Mei Shui put the money directly into Grandma's hand. Grandma, take it and count it for fun. I'll give it to you if there are any more. Hearing what Xiaoxiu said, Grandma He was very happy. Last time, the money was more than 400 yuan. This time, it was quite a lot. Hyans didn't understand. Didn't Grandma say that Xiaoxiu was in charge of the family's money? But now. Bad boy, what's in your eyes? Grandma He noticed her grandson's gaze and said with an unhappy expression, can I still lie to you? Our family is now headed by Xiaoxiu. I will count the money until I have enough. I give it all to Xiaoxiu. After saying that, Grandma He turned around and entered the house, closing the door with a bang. Mei Shui said with a look of joy on her face, you're done, let's see how Grandma will deal with you tomorrow. After saying that, Mei Shui went back to the house directly. Before returning to the house, she said behind her, I'll leave the food in the kitchen for you to keep warm. Aunt Zillian asked them to take Anwen's food back with them when they left. At that time, Mei Shui knew that it would not be long before they came back. Meixiu went to bed beautifully. Hyans went to eat hard. The grievances and hurts Hyans suffered at this time were all recovered on his wife after taking a shower. Mei Shui, that's an injustice. The next day, a few people met to go to the waterhole again. Today they went just to catch fish. With yesterday's money coming in, everyone is full of confidence today, and with the addition of Anken, the team has suddenly grown. Sister-in-law, what if we encounter a wild boar today? And Liang was very excited and looking forward to it along the way. Mei Shui looked at An Liang and said, if we encounter him again, I'll throw him to the wild boars and let them take revenge. Unconsciously, Mei Shui's cold temper gradually changed. That's right, we only have to run away when we encounter each other. In order to calm down the wild boar, I think my sister-in-law's idea is very good. And Wen agreed with his face. Along the way, everyone was talking and laughing. After yesterday's experience, everyone did not carry buckets when going up the mountain today. Instead, they picked 4 baskets, intending to use them to hold fish, with impermeable plastic bags inside. If these birds were not too small, Mei Shui would not let them go. They would be meat. For some reason, she is still so obsessed with meat. When he came to the waterhole, the bloodstains from yesterday were still here. Seeing this, Hians felt relieved. The bloodstains are still there, which proves that there are no large animals around, and even if there are, they are probably wild boars. Maybe he got it yesterday. Even if Hians faces the wild boar again today, he will no longer be afraid. Quickly, pull up the fishing net first and see if the fish are still inside. This kind of fishing net has very large mesh and cannot hold fish. The 4 grown men took action, while Mei Shui watched from the sidelines. She was looking forward to the wild boar appearing again. The fishing net was soon pulled up, and more than half of the fish inside escaped. Fortunately, the only ones left behind were some big fish, and they could not escape. Sister-in-law, bring the basket quickly. And Liang was very happy to see so many big fish. Hearing the sound, Mei Shui regained her composure and ran to the waterside with a basket with a plastic bag in it. How is it? It's not bad, I haven't finished the race yet, Hian said with a smile. That's good. Mei Shui was also happy when she heard that she hadn't finished running yet. Quick, catch it quickly, we'll make another net later, and we'll sell the fish this afternoon. As soon as she finished speaking, Mei Shui started to move her hands. A group of 6 people lowered the net twice. All the fish they caught were big fish, and all the smaller ones were released. One morning, full of harvest. After returning home with the fish, and Chen went directly to hitch the carriage, and later took the fish to sell. The price was high. Mixu dropped a few drops of space water into the basket to preserve the vitality of the fish. This time, An Liang and Anchen also went to sell fish, but An Wen didn't go. He had to help his father carry the wood back from the mountain. After the people left, Mei Shui didn't waste any time and immediately went to her vegetable patch. Water spinach would be picked again in 2 days, but other vegetables would have to wait. Grandma, please go back, I can do nothing alone, I just weeds, there isn't much work. Mei Shui looked at her grandma following behind her. The sun was so bright that she felt very distressed. It's not like grandma, he has never done this kind of work before. It's okay, I'll help you go faster together, these vegetables are growing really well. She looked up at Xiaoxiu with a smile, then lowered her head and started working again. Seeing that she could not persuade him, Mei Shui had no choice but to speed up her actions. Spatial water has a great effect on promoting the growth of plants, not only on vegetables but also on grass. This is also the reason why Mei Shui comes to the vegetable patch every day to pull weeds. Xiaoxiu, are there many fish on the mountain? Grandma was talking to Xiaoxiu while working. Mei Shui thought for a while, there are quite a lot, it won't be a problem to sell them a few times. The fish are all big, but they are very mixed. There are all kinds of fish, not a specific one. Thinking of fish, Mei Shui discovered a business opportunity. Grandma, is there a fish pond in our village? Yes, your Uncle Jing's house has a fish pond, but there aren't many fish in it. Then why doesn't he raise fish? Mei Shui didn't know. Why else? It's not easy to raise fish. Not many fish can survive in a fish pond like my own. If he could raise fish, he would have made a fortune long ago. Does our family have one? Mei Shui felt that her spiritual spring could not only be used for growing vegetables, but could also have more functions. Grandma, he shook her head, our family doesn't have one. Our fields are all on the edge of the mountains. Like here in the village, there are no fields. It's not easy to build a fish pond. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 87. Chapter 87, Farewell. That's right, He Jianjing's fish pond was created from his family's field. After several years of raising it, there weren't many fish produced, so he finally used it for farming. Upon hearing this, Mei Shui didn't think much about it anymore. Forget it, let's talk about it later. I'm afraid that after the water pool on Chaotian Mountain was cleared by them a few times, the people in the village would take action. At that time, it will not be easy to catch fish all the time. Fish also need time to grow. But she can't raise fish, but she can also raise chickens. Her chickens are so strong that they can be sold without waiting for the Chinese New Year. Grandma, let's repair the chicken coop now that the chickens have grown up. Living in the back room is not a long-term solution. Mei Shui changed her mind. Sure, Ans happens to be at home. Let him go to the mountain to cut some wood and come back. Let him rebuild the chicken coop, making it bigger this time. Of course, Grandma, he fulfilled Xiaoxiu's wish. Will he? Mei Shui doubted. Yes. He used to do all the work at home, but Grandma couldn't do it. Grandma, he was really lying about this. Usually when small things at home are broken, I wait for him to come back to fix them. It's just a trivial matter to build a chicken coop. Then, let him build a big chicken coop from the kitchen to the fence gate. Mei Shui also wanted to catch some chickens and raise them. Grandma, please go to the village and ask who still has chicks for sale. We will buy some and raise them. If there are none in the village, we will go to the big market to buy them. How many do you want to buy? There are quite a few chickens at home, dozens of them. If you buy more, 40 or 50 won't be a problem anyway. Raising one is also raising a group, and she can raise them well. After hearing this, Grandma, he thought, just in time, your Grandma Jinghua's chickens have laid a nest. There seem to be 20 or 30 eggs this time. I don't know how many chickens came out, and there are also chickens from your Aunt Lanhua's house. After calculation, 40 or 50 is enough. Okay, when will it come out? Grandma, go buy it back. Then it happened that Ans could repair the chicken coop at that time. Meixiu doesn't plan to use the house behind the house to raise chickens. She will catch a few more pigs. Now that I have money, I am not afraid of running out of money to buy a piglet. It will take a few days, don't worry, I will talk to them in the afternoon, and I will catch them when they come out of the nest. Grandma, he said with a loving look on her face. Grandma, the house at the back is free. Let's catch another pig and raise it. Also, our pig should be sold. It is too fat and eats too much. After Mei Shui's support from the spiritual spring these days, the pig has been raised to a shiny coat, and its weight has increased steadily. Now it may weigh more than 300 kilograms, and it can catch up with the wild boar. Actually, they have been wrong about one thing. The price of wild boars is higher than that of domestic pigs. The price of live pigs is only 70 cents per catty. Even though the price in the vegetable market is 1 yuan and 20 pounds, butchers also have to make a profit, and they also have to remove the internal organs, pig blood, fur, etc., so getting 70 cents is considered a very good price. Last time, Boss Me charged a pound of raw pork, which was really a big price. When her pig was praised, Grandma, he looked proud and said, no, maybe it's been eating too well recently, so it's time to sell it. It won't grow any more meat any longer, so sell it. At that time, I will catch 2 more piglets and bring them back. After the new year, they will be able to sell them. When Ans comes back, let him ask who is collecting the pigs. If no one collects the pigs, we will take them to the town to sell them. It is always the time when the Chinese New Year is approaching when someone comes to the village to collect the pigs. It's not the right time now, no one will come in to collect it. You have to sell it yourself. Can't we do what we did last time at Jensongbo's house? We kill them ourselves and sell the meat. We can keep a lot of things by killing them ourselves. Zioxiu, we have a lot of meat at home. We can eat it until the Chinese New Year. What if we don't sell it all? There is a lot of pork, Grandma, he said worriedly. When Mei Shui saw that her grandma didn't agree, she didn't say much. Okay, then, there will be a big market in a few days. I'll ask He Anzela to go to the big market and ask. The first person that Mei Shui thought of was Boss Zhu. She felt that the two of them were quite easy to get along with, and she said so casually last time. Okay, it won't take more than 2 days. It's better to ask first and get the confirmation so that we can make plans. While chatting about trivial matters at home, they finished the work in the fields. The sun was high in the sky, and the two of them returned home. As soon as she got home, Mei Shui started to make lunch. She didn't know if they would come back for dinner. Mei Shui also made some extra rice so that she could eat it in the evening if she couldn't finish it. Mei Shui made a hearty lunch, mainly to reward her mouth. After dinner, Mei Shui and her grandma went back to their rooms to take a nap. Unlike before, they could sleep well at night. Now she had to deal with a wolf at night. If you don't sleep a little longer during the day, you will feel uncomfortable in the afternoon. Mei Shui's biggest wish is to eat well, drink well, and sleep well. Don't look at life like a pig. Many people may not be able to achieve it in their lifetime. Having been working hard for the collapse of life, I have been working hard all my life. On the other side, because there were too many fish, Mr. Me couldn't eat them for a while. After he bought dozens more kilograms, he and others took the fish to the fish market. I have to say that those few drops of spiritual spring water that Mei Shui secretly put in were really helpful. When I came here at noon, the fish were basking in the sun and jumping around. As soon as they entered the fish market, they were scratched. That's not all, some people asked them to bring more tomorrow, and they all want it. Hians thought about how many days he could stay at home. If possible, he planned to sell fish for a few more days. After thinking about it, he agreed. The rice boss would definitely not be able to eat so much, so he could only sell it here. After agreeing to these bosses, Hians took his cousins to have lunch. Of course, he couldn't treat himself badly if he had money. Hians didn't buy anything at home because he found that there was really no shortage of anything at home, whether it was food, drink, or clothing. Zioxiu had prepared everything for her family, and even her grandma had put on new clothes. In the past, her grandma would not be willing to wear new clothes. Now, grandma's old clothes have been put away long ago. When she is not working, she always wears new clothes and goes to the village to hang out. It was too hard in the past. He could understand a little bit of grandma's thoughts, so he just wanted to show others that she married a good granddaughter-in-law and wanted to be envied. I have to say that everyone in the village is very envious of her. Those who don't have a daughter-in-law at home are planning to compare Mei Shui to find one. Some people are ambitious and want to find a better wife than Mei Shui. After lunch, the four of them drove the carriage back to the village. "Brother Ans, aren't we going this afternoon?" And Cheng said with a longing look on his face. "No, the fish may not survive if left overnight. We will go tomorrow morning and then take it to the aquatic product market. Anyway, there are quite a lot of people there at noon." Hians shook his head. "Please vote for recommendations, please give rewards, and please collect." End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 88. Chapter 88, Repairing the Chicken Coop, please vote for recommendation. And Liang is also counting the days. He has not long left school, and every day he can sell is counted. In addition, the fish in the pool also need to grow, and they cannot catch them every day. But what they didn't know was that there were some bold people in the village. Seeing them pulling a cart of fish to sell at noon, everyone felt very itchy. The leader among them is Aunt Yang's family, who has the worst dealings with Grandma He. The man from Aunt Yang's family is He Zhenbei, the son of the fourth son of the He family. He has two sons and one named He Zhendong. He Zhendong is a capable person. He ran out when the country first called for him. Now he can be regarded as a superior person, with a household worth 10,000 yuan. He Lao Si was also taken away by his eldest son to enjoy the blessings. He Zhenbei's family was the only one left in the village. However, because of He Zhendong, many people in the village fawned over their family. Because He Zhendong is the most promising person in the village. Not only is he rich, but he can still establish himself in the city. To rural people, he is considered a capable person. He Zhenbei and Aunt Yang gave birth to 3 sons. The eldest, He Anyang, is 17 years old and a second-rate son, but one good thing is that he does not harm the village. At the age of 17, I heard that he was doing well in the town and had a group of brothers. Every villager has seen the world, and every one of them is in awe. He Anyang is also considered a celebrity in the village. The second oldest child is He Anwei. Maybe he was influenced by his eldest brother. He didn't even finish junior high school, so he just stayed at home and fooled around all day. He is only 15 years old this year, and he is considered a bully in the village. He is protected by his brother and mother, and he often causes harm to the village. If He Anyang makes the villagers fearful and foreign-loving, then He Anwei is the most unpopular person in the village. His brother didn't learn how to be a good person. Instead, he learned to be arrogant and did a lot of sneaky things on weekdays. The third child is He Anchang. He is probably the most honest person in the He Zhenbei family. He is still in school and his grades are pretty good. In addition to reading and writing homework, he rarely hangs out with his second brother. He just stays at home or helps with some work at home. The news that He An's brought back the wild boar yesterday quickly spread in the village. He Anwei looked unconvinced, thinking that he was lucky. In addition, the village always liked to praise Ans for being filial, sensible, and capable, which made him very unconvinced. He felt that his brother was the most capable person. Maybe the child is angry and unconvinced. He dislikes He An's very much, and he can't beat him. At most, he will say bad things about him behind his back. Unexpectedly, he actually shot a wild boar. He heard that it was on Chaotian Mountain, but he refused to accept it. This morning I saw him taking He Anliang and others to sell fish, and my heart became restless. Invited a few friends of his, and planned to go to Chaotian Mountain to catch fish, and he wanted to sell them and make a lot of money. Neither He An's nor He An's knew anything about He Anwei's affairs, and even if they knew, they wouldn't say much. Because the pool does not belong to their family, anyone can go there, as long as you dare. After He An's and others discussed it, they decided to take advantage of the fact that the size of the fish was quite large these days, and they planned to sell it for a few days. They will stop after the big ones are almost sold. It happened that Anliang and the others were about to leave and had no time to catch fish, and He An's also had to go back to work. After returning home, everyone gathered at He An's house. Mei Shui asked them to take out the money from today's sale, and she added yesterday's money. Yesterday's money was not much, and today's money is the bulk. Seeing An Cheng here again, Mei Shui took out yesterday's money and divided it among 4 people. In fact, it was only a few yuan. Today I added an anken, 5 people got 1 point, and everyone got 80 yuan. There are 270 jins in total, 1 yuan and a half per jin, that is, 400 yuan will be paid, and 5 people will get 1 cent, which is 80 yuan. Another large amount of income came in, and all the little kids in their teens jumped up. Wow, that's a lot of money. Haha, now I can buy the little book I like. Hee hee, I no longer have to worry about my mother not giving me living expenses when I go to school. Seeing the excitement of Anshan Anliang and An Cheng, everyone laughed. Grandma he couldn't close her mouth when she saw the children talking and laughing. She was not a stingy person, she would divide the money as she wanted, and she couldn't let anyone suffer. Okay, what is it called? Remember to tell me about the money when you go back. Don't hide it from yourself. Let me know which of you concealed it. See if I don't beat you to death, Grandma, he said with a fierce look on her face. But everyone knows that the third grandma is doing it for their own good. I know, I will give it to my parents, and Cheng is an honest child. Third grandma, how could I hide the money? Even if I did, I would use it to be filial to you, and Liang's skin was itchy and itchy. As soon as grandma he heard what he said, she immediately jumped down and said, "You brat, your mother is right. You just need to be dealt with. Zioxiu, hold him back and see if I don't skin him today." After saying that, grandma he picked up the broom at hand. Mixu listened to her grandma the most. When her grandma asked her to hold him back, she immediately stepped forward and caught An Liang as well. "Don't run," he also threatened. An Liang cried. "He was just joking, you, brother Ans, help me. It's a pity that no one can save him." In the end, An Liang was spanked by grandma he and immediately became honest. "By the way, are you still planning to catch fish tomorrow?" After calming down, grandma he asked with a smile. "Go, third grandma, you don't know." And Liang started making trouble again. "Shut up, I don't want to talk to you." Grandma he didn't like him, maybe because of their close relationship. Grandma he liked to cause trouble for An Liang. "Grandma, we plan to catch fish for a few days to sell. The price of fish has been high recently, 1 yuan and 5 pounds per catty, not a lot." "That's okay, but Zioxiu plans to raise more chickens. Remember to repair the chicken coop when you have time." From here to here grandma he gestured in her yard. Hian smiled at his grandma's gestures and said, "Grandma, how many chickens do you plan to feed? They are so big." Mei Shui saw him smiling and said with an unhappy look, "Forget it if you don't want to practice." If she didn't know how, she wouldn't beg him. "No, I was wrong, daughter-in-law, please save some face." Hians was immediately frightened when he saw his wife speaking. "I'll fix it. I'll go chop some wood and come back soon. I'll fix the chicken coop for you." He didn't dare not do it, otherwise he wouldn't have a good time at night. He just fell asleep on this hot bed, and he didn't want to sleep alone. Seeing the young couple joking around, grandma he said nothing more. "Also, when you go to sell fish tomorrow, you can stop by and ask if anyone collects pigs. Our pigs should also be sold." Speaking of this, grandma he looked happy. "Okay, I've written it all down and I'll go tomorrow." Hians agreed honestly. Don't dare to be skinny. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 89. Chapter 89, Will You Miss Me? After sending everyone away, Hians went to the back mountain to cut wood. The requirements for these wood were not high, as long as they could bear the weight. They also need some small bamboos. They have them at home, so they don't have to go to the mountains to cut them. Mei Shui originally wanted to help him in the afternoon, but Hians refused. Hians has been counting the days. The rice at home will be harvested at the end of the month. He has to finish harvesting the rice before going to work. It took 4 or 5 days to make the fish, during which time everything about the pig and chicken coops at home was also done perfectly. On the 25th day, the weather was cloudy, and Hians, Mei Shui, and An Wen went to harvest rice in their fields. None of the family members said no these days. My family has taken advantage of a lot of the third aunt's family. What's wrong with letting the boys in the family do some work? Children in rural areas have nothing but a lot of strength. There is not much rice field at home, so it took one day to harvest all the rice in the field. Meanwhile, the plum snow also released water. There are a lot of good things in the fields. It is not easy to harm other people's fields, so of course my own plum snow will not be spared. One thing I have to say these days is that he Anwei and the others originally wanted to catch fish to sell, but they did not expect that there were fish, but they didn't catch much, and they almost couldn't come back. Since no one goes there all year round, the wild boars may have developed a certain habit of going there to drink water from time to time. Just when he Anwei and the others went there, they encountered wild boars, not just one or two, but a group, which almost scared them to death. Fortunately, he Ans and the others went up to catch fish on the last day and were able to rescue a few people. In this way, those people in the village who had strange thoughts really stopped. They didn't think they would be lucky enough to escape from so many wild boars. For this reason, he Anwei's family also blamed he Ans, saying that he attracted the wild boar's revenge and almost killed his family Anwei. After hearing this, Grandma he scolded Aunt Yang from a distance, and then she stopped after scolding Aunt Yang. He Anwei didn't know if he was so frightened that he lost his mind. He became quiet, which was a little scary. Of course, these have nothing to do with he Ans and his family. I don't care if I don't feel grateful for saving your life, but I still. Had I known it, had I known that they would still have saved her. They are all from the same village, and there is no enmity between life and death, so they would not refuse to save her. Sister-in-law, stop it, let's go back, otherwise it will be dark because we were pressed for time, we spent the whole day in the fields. Mei Shui brought lunch for lunch. Fortunately, a few young men were able to work hard and harvest all the rice in several fields. Everyone is as tired as a dog. I am afraid that even my own family has not worked for such a long time. Meixiu, on the other hand, found a good thing in the water. She was going to work in the fields together today, but Hian saw that the sun was too bright and didn't let her go. Mei Shui had nothing to do, so she went for a walk in the mountains. I caught several pheasants, and now, with the addition of these things in the water, I have a pot of dragon and phoenix soup. Mei Shui struck out quickly and accurately. Every time she stretched out her hand, there was something in her hand. And Liang saw that his sister-in-law ignored him, so he ran over here. But when he ran up to him, he screamed ah! Like a slaughtering pig. Snake, snake, snake. And Liang's feet softened and he fell to the ground. After hearing the shouts from his side, he Ans and others also dropped their things and ran over. Mei Shui glanced at An Liang and rolled her eyes, it's worthless. It's just a snake. What are you afraid of? The snake wound around Mei Shui's hand several times. But its 7 inches were pinched between Mei Shui's 3 fingers, and she had no strength to resist at all. Mei Shui walked up from the stream, what are you afraid of? Let me show you in a bad mood. Mei Shui put the snake in front of An Liang's eyes. An Liang felt scared and lay down on the ground. Sister-in-law, I was wrong, take it away quickly. He Ans and the others ran over and saw Mei Shui holding a snake to scare An Liang. What's wrong? He walked up to Mei Shui and asked worriedly. Mei Shui shook her head, maybe she was used to his approach, and now the gap between he Ans and Mei Shui was getting smaller and smaller. It's okay, I caught a snake. There will be something delicious tonight. Mei Shui waved the snake in her hand with a happy face. Pheasants at noon and snakes at night, this wife is really surprising. Aren't you afraid? Hian said confused. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him, what are you afraid of? Would she be afraid? He, if she was afraid, she would have died countless times. Those mutated beasts are much more powerful than these animals. Afraid it will eat you? Mei Shui was in a good mood and touched Hian's hand with the snake teasingly. Unfortunately, Hian's was not afraid at all. Don't make trouble, I'm not afraid of snakes. He had eaten countless snakes, so how could he be afraid? Okay, let's go quickly. It's getting dark soon. It's not going to be easy to walk if we stay late. Seeing that everyone was fine, Hyans immediately asked everyone to leave. Mei Shui chopped off the snake's head with force, then followed them with the snake's body. When I got home, sure enough, it was already dark. Fortunately, Mei Shui picked up rice and other things during the day, so there wasn't much left at night. Several people were brought back together. Grandma he cooked a meal at home and waited until it got dark before seeing anyone come back. Why is it so late? Have you finished harvesting? Their rice grew well this year, and there was actually more rice than last year. The harvest is all done, and water has been put in the field. After 2 days of moistening, we can dig out the loaches, Hyans replied with a smile. Third Grandma, I'm so hungry, can I eat? After a day's work, An Liang and the others were really tired and hungry. Okay, it's all done. Grandma will bring it to you. Maybe it's because we've been together for a long time, and the harmony between these people has become more and more harmonious. After Mei Shui washed her face, she began to take out the snake. He looked at everyone and said, "Do you still want to eat snake meat? If so, I will do it now." Upon hearing this, several people quickly shook their heads and said, "Sister-in-law, please let me go." Only Hyans was moved. Seeing that no one wanted to eat, Mei Shui didn't force it. "Okay, then we'll eat it tomorrow." Meixue caught several pheasants at noon, and Grandma he cooked 2 of them, fearing that they would not be enough to eat. There is also meat. People who do heavy work have to make up for it. She doesn't want to rob them. The leisure time at home is always so short. After Hyans helped the family put the rice into the warehouse, it was time for him to leave. At night, Hyans kept pestering Mei Shui, "Daughter-in-law, I am going to the county town tomorrow. Will you miss me?" Mei Shui pushed away the person next to her. "It was too hot, I don't want to." "Why, I am your man, how can you not miss me? I think you can't be eaten, so stay away from me, it's so hot." Mei Shui couldn't stand this person, he was so childish. "Then you won't get used to it when I'm not at home," Hyans said, slightly moving away. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 90. Chapter 90, Reconciliation. Please beg for recommendation votes. No, she was comfortable sleeping alone. After this person came back, her bed was half as small, and she couldn't even enter the space at night. Then what should I do if I miss you? What should I do if I'm not used to it? Hyans said with an aggrieved look. It's not me, it's none of my business. Mei Shui turned around. Stop arguing, I want to sleep. Seeing how ruthless she was, Hyans immediately quit and said, "Daughter-in-law, why don't you miss me? Why don't you miss me?" So, the night activities began. The next day, Mei Shui got up a little late, with a murderous look in her eyes. She didn't expect that she would actually lose to that man in terms of physical strength, haha. "Xiaoxiu, wake up, ask me not to disturb you when Ans leaves in the morning. You are hungry, come over and eat, Grandma has just made it." Seeing Xiaoxiu coming out, Grandma he shouted with joy. It's better to get up later, so that she can hold her great-grandson in her arms. Fortunately, Mei Shui didn't know what Grandma was thinking. Otherwise, she would have gone to the county town to beat up Hyans. This man was really indebted. "Grandma. Hey, come and eat." Mei Shui was in a bad mood at the dinner table. After dinner, Grandma he took out a blue grape from the well and said, "Here, your eldest grandma brought this." Grandma ate it. "It's delicious." Huh, Mei Shui was a little confused. Why did Grandma send something to my house again? Mei Shui frowned. She really didn't want to have too much involvement with Grandma's family. You, eat it when she brings it to you. Anshan will get a lot of benefits from following you this time. Your Aunt Ting must have asked your eldest grandma to send this to you. You still don't understand the purpose. Grandma he smiled and said, besides, you can eat it as soon as it is brought to you. If you don't eat it, it will be free. Our family won't owe her family any money. Grandma he saw it clearly. The matter of online brewing wine has passed, and no one mentioned it. Xiaoxiu didn't make any wine anymore. Only Anwen and Anliang made dozens of kilograms of wine later, and the wine is still not good yet. Later I heard that Anlin also brewed dozens of kilograms of wine at the request of Zheng Ting. No one knows what is happening now. Eat it. These white grapes are grown at home and are sweeter than the wild grapes in the mountains. Put the grapes in front of Mei Shui and let her eat. Meixiu was of course not polite. She picked up one and put it in her mouth. She sucked it and said, sweet. The sweet and sour taste quickly won over Mei Shui. Grandma, does Grandma's family have these grapes? That's not true. Many families in the village have it, but others ones ripen earlier, but the one at your grandma's house ripens later, so I only eat it now. Fruits like grapes can be eaten in the last month, not to mention those skinny boys in the village who pick and eat them when they are not ripe, so they can keep them. Had it not been for the dislike of Grandma no one would be willing to offend her, and I don't think the grapes would be able to be kept until now. Mei Shui was not disappointed when she heard the news. Are there many wild grapes in the mountains? She didn't want other people's grapes, so she would just go to the mountains. There are grapes in the mountains, but they are more sour, small, and black, and they are different from this one. Grandma explained to Mei Shui seriously. Is it much? Mei Shui thought of a good thing. If it can be achieved, I'm afraid. Haha, there are quite a few. What, Xiaoxiu, do you want to eat? Grandma looked at Xiaoxiu with a smile on her face. If you want to eat, Grandma will pick it for you later. Okay, I'll go with Grandma. If there are too many, she will have something to do. Wine is a good thing. Women drink it to beautify their skin, and old people drink it to lower their blood pressure. If this wine is added with her spiritual spring water, it will be no worse than those medicines. Sure, go later that night. I'll go to your grandma Jinghua's house to catch the chicks later. It will take a few days for your Aunt Lanhua's house to arrive. Upon hearing that the chick was caught, Xiaoxiu was excited and said, Grandma, I'll go with you. Of course Grandma had no objection. Okay, then eat quickly. After eating, I will take you to your grandma Jinghua's house. Grandma Jinghua's home is not far away, just across the creek. She is blessed. She has 2 sons, both of whom are filial, and her daughter-in-law is even more loving. So she stopped working a long time ago and raised some chickens and ducks at home so that her life would not be too comfortable. Good. Mei Shui ate her meal faster than before. After packing up, Mei Shui followed her grandma to Grandma Jinghua's house. Arrived at the creek, many people were drying rice on the road and spreading it out on bamboo mats. When harvesting, they only had to lift the bamboo mats and put them away, which was very convenient. There were quite a few people greeting Grandma when they saw her. Mei Shui didn't recognize everyone, but Grandma who she had a good relationship with, asked Mei Shui to call someone. After crossing the stream, we arrived at Grandma Jinghua's house. Sister-in-law Jinghua, is sister-in-law Jinghua at home? There was no one at home outside, so Grandma shouted to me. Here he comes. Who is he? Soon, an old man with gray hair walked out of a room. As soon as Grandma Jinghua came out, she saw Mei Shui and Grandma She smiled and said, It's Xiaoxiu here. Come and sit in the house. The sun is shining brightly outside. Mei Shui also called Grandma Jinghua, and then followed her into the house. What are you doing, No one in the family is outside Grandma, he approached with a smile. What else can we do? Clean up the chicken coop in the back. The chickens are already big. I was wondering when you would catch them. We have been in a relationship for many years, and everything we say is very casual. Isn't this coming? How much will you survive? Not many, 21. Haha, there are only 3 or 2 dead eggs this time. I'm really lucky, Grandma Jinghua said with a proud face. Yo, that's good, take me to see it quickly. Dead eggs are those eggs that cannot hatch chicks. Generally, people will take a look when they are hatching eggs, but humans are not hens, so they cannot see them all, and they will always get a few wrong ones. Of course, if you are unlucky, half of them will be pretty good. Like Grandma Jinghua, there are very few people who spoil 2 or 3 of the eggs they hatch. Meixiu didn't understand this, so she listened to the whole process and followed behind them, learning from their experience. If possible, she will hatch her own chicks in the future, which will save a lot of trouble. Arriving at the chicken coop, Mei Shui saw a group of chicks following the hen, chirping and full of energy. Haha, yes, these chickens are so beautiful. I want them all, so don't be reluctant, Grandma. He was so happy when she saw the chickens. Grandma Jinghua is not a stingy person, you old man. If you hadn't agreed upon it when you hatched the eggs, I would have been reluctant to give them to you. That's not the case, I have a good sense. Hearing the two joking, Mei Shui also smiled, then squatted on the ground and played with the chicken. What a pity, the hen is very protective of her calves. As soon as she saw Mei Shui touching the chick, she ran over and pecked at Mei Shui. Fortunately, Mei Shui moved quickly, otherwise she would have been pecked by it. It's really not easy to earn 10,000 per day. If you have votes, please vote. Thank you. Please vote for recommendations, please give rewards, and please collect. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 91. Chapter 91, Leaving. After Grandma He and Grandma Jinghua finished chatting, Mei Shui helped Grandma Jinghua catch the chicks and take them back later. Mei Shui doesn't know exactly how they made the deal. Anyway, Grandma Jinghua asked them to take the chick away. On the way back, Mei Shui asked curiously, Grandma, did you give money to Grandma Jinghua? With so many chickens, you can't owe someone a favor. Hee, yes, we gave 5 cents for an egg, but the dead eggs are also ours. I really didn't expect that we could survive so much. Can Grandma Jinghua hatch more chicks? Mei Shui said happily. Anyway, the chicken coop has been repaired, it's so big and we can still raise a lot of chickens. Seeing Xiaomei like this, Grandma He was very happy. Of course, I told her a long time ago, but we have to wait. She still has 2 hens nesting in the house. She has to keep one nest for herself and give me another one, including those from your Aunt Lanhua's house, there are dozens of them. She has never fed so many chickens. Rural people attach great importance to poultry. If they raise too many poultry, they are afraid of death. If they raise too little, they will not be able to sell or eat them. Therefore, they always come to their families first. If others want them, they have to decide first. Most of the year's income depends on this. Mei Shui was very happy after hearing that her grandma had placed another order. It's not much. If possible, we can raise more. We have a lot of vegetable fields today, and some of them are rotten vegetables to raise chickens. Come on, Xiaoxiu, you are really diligent. Grandma He became more and more satisfied with Xiaoxiu, but if you raise too many pigs, it will be very tiring. Didn't you say you have to catch 2 piglets? Yes, the pig pen is empty, and it will be wasted if we don't catch the piglets. You can eat meat and sell it for money, so you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Grandma is afraid that you will be tired. Grandma is old and afraid that she won't be able to help you. It's okay. I can do this by myself. Grandma, just rest more. Didn't you say you want to enjoy my blessing? I will definitely let you enjoy it, Mei Shui said seriously. Yes, 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 Grandma is enjoying the blessing, she is really enjoying the blessing. After Xiaoxia came home, she was basically the one doing the work in the field or in the fields. She is just enjoying herself. This is something that others would not envy. After returning home, Mei Shui put the chicks in the room next to the pig pen. After the chicken coop was repaired, Mei Shui kicked out the bigger chicks. She is active in the yard now. The chickens were a little uncomfortable adapting to the unfamiliar environment when they first arrived, but it didn't matter. Mei Shui prepared a feast for them, which was spiritual spring water. The rice was soaked in Lingquan water, and some of it was also dropped into the water for them to drink. It can be said to be a very luxurious meal. Animal instinct, the temptation of spiritual spring water is too great for them, and they will quickly abandon it if it is not suitable for them. He was eating around the rice that Mei Shui had put on the ground, and everyone was grabbing it happily. Look, Grandma, they really like our house. After seeing them eating, Mei Shui immediately called her grandma with joy. Grandma, he was standing on the edge, how could she not see it? Well, as long as they like it, that's fine. If the chicks don't adapt to such an environment, they will definitely die by then. Now it's better, I'm not afraid anymore. Grandma, did you say they can eat vegetable leaves? Water spinach has a lot of old leaves. If they can be eaten, she will pick them back. Unexpectedly, Grandma, he shook her head, not yet, we have to wait until they are bigger, otherwise they will easily have diarrhea and they will not be able to survive by then. After hearing that they were inedible, Mei Shui didn't say anything more and just waited until they were bigger. This home is one step closer to Mei Shui's dream home, and closer to the life she wants. She is just waiting for the day when her dream will come true. Now, she still has a lot of things to do, but don't be in a hurry and take your time. If nothing goes wrong next year, Mei Shui plans to renovate her yard. At least the fence should be built into a wall. Fences made of bamboo are still somewhat inconvenient. Everything at home is looked at. There is still a slippery path outside the fence that needs to be repaired. Anyway, let's give ourselves a satisfactory home first. She likes the wooden house very much and has no intention of changing it, but the outer walls need to be strengthened. Otherwise she would not have any sense of security. The chicken came home, and Mei Shui counted the time. She had to pick the celery at home. If she didn't pick it, she would be old. Grandma, do you think Boss Zhao and the others will come? There weren't many vegetables this time. Ans knew it well. If they don't come after 2 days, we can just sell it ourselves during the big gathering. Grandma, he was also a little unsure. What a pity, they all underestimated the vegetables that Mei Shui could grow using spiritual spring water. The taste may not be alluring to others, they just think it tastes better. But for old diners like Boss Zhao, they know that such a dish is rare as soon as they eat it. No matter how rare it is, they will come. As for the Zhao family, because of Boss Zhao, the family has already discussed it and has great confidence in Mei Shui's dishes. The most promising among them is Qianziang. Business is getting harder and harder now, and customers are becoming more and more demanding. He was able to keep the store open, and he really took advantage of the decoration. However, with more and more business being done, everyone is consciously paying attention to the environment. Maybe there hasn't been much change in the town, but it's different in the city. Not long ago, a new restaurant opened not far from Qianziang's house, and its decoration was no worse than his. Obviously it brought him a lot of business. Fortunately, his father sent him plum wine at this time, which saved some customers, but the wine was not available for a long time, and he was afraid that once the wine was sold out, his business would drop again. No, they have been counting the days and waiting for Aunt He's dishes to be ready. They are willing to pay even a higher price. As soon as Hans arrived in the county, he immediately went to do errands for his wife. After finding Mr. Zhao's restaurant, he directly stated his intention. Fortunately, the store is not big, and Boss Zhao is the only one guarding it, otherwise he might not be able to meet He-Ans. Are you looking for me? Who are you? These days, he and his son were counting the wine at home. It had been a month and he didn't know if the food at Aunt He's house was ready. He-Ans felt relieved after seeing Boss Zhao's eyes clear. Hello, Boss Zhao, I am Mei Shui's man and Grandma He's grandson. He-Ans did not hide anything and first revealed his identity. Boss Zhao was happy when he heard this. Haha, it's you. I heard Aunt He talk about you, but aren't you still out of town? After saying that, Boss Zhao took He-Ans to a table and sat down. I'm back, and I'm rushing back to celebrate the festival. That's a good relationship. I'm busy here during the Mid-Autumn Festival, and I don't even have the time to pay my respects to Aunt He. When you go back later, you have to help me bring the gifts back, otherwise Aunt He will cut me off. In this way, Boss Zhao is just trying to build relationships. End of this chapter.